This is a snow turtle. Bob is his name. Fell headfirst in the powder while my high school hiking buds and I were trying not to get lost in the Washington Cascades. From this, we discovered our name, the Snow Turtle Patrol. After a few faceplants of my own, I'm now 70 years old. But still hiking, backpacking, mountain climbing, canyoneering. Now, instead of getting all teary-eyed nostalgic by perusing the old black and whites, I've decided to literally relive one of the patrol's biggest adventures, backpacking the Washington coast between the Hoh River and 3rd Beach. This time, I'm going solo because, well, Bill and Russ have retired from backpacking, and Bob, I'm afraid to say, he's retired from life. Anyway, I see this as a chance to refresh musty memories with crisp 4K video. And with any luck, I won't be paralyzed by sentimentality. Because this is a one-way trip, I park at the hike's end, the 3rd Beach Trailhead, where a shuttle service takes me south to the start at the Hoh River. It's not cheap at $80, but beats thumbing it down the 101 highway. I should note, when my friends and I did this, we volunteered our parents to do the transportation, and that didn't cost us anything. For a route that's often described as a beach hike, there will be a lot of this kind of terrain for the next 4 days. The trail skirts along the Hoh River, which, by the way, begins a mere 56 miles upstream, melting out of a glacier in the Olympic Mountains. Among the early obstacles, climbing over logs, most of the time in the form of driftwood. The path disappears at the beach where I come out near the river's mouth. And after more driftwood, I start north. I've hiked about 1.5 miles from the trailhead. Now it's time to round Diamond Rock. Problem is, that has to be done during low tide, which was 8:30 this morning, and high tide is 3 o'clock. So that's more or less perfect timing, but cutting it a little close. Now, if this was high tide or a storm, this would be impassable, which is a good lesson about hiking along the coast. The tide table rules everything. None of us in the patrol knew about this being a low-tide only obstacle. It was just dumb luck we didn't get stuck here with the waves washing us out to Japan. This was before the Olympic National Park warned hikers about the coastal dangers on their website, which wouldn't be created for at least another 20 years. The beach disappears under all the boulders. With a 45-pound pack, I'm not exactly jumping from rock to rock. I'd like to think I'm just as nimble as when I was 18, but certainly not as reckless. If nothing else, I'm a little more conscious of my solo hiker vulnerabilities. For example, bashing a bone or two with no one there to help me. At best, going around Diamond Rock is tedious, but fortunately doesn't last any more than, say, 45 minutes before the beach appears again. Pretty soon I come to the next challenge, going up and over Hoh Head. Hand over hand up this little stairway. Now I guess if you failed PE rope climbing, you might be a little concerned, but no, it really isn't that bad. Come to think of it, I did fail rope climbing. Oh, if my gym teacher could see me now. I promised not to complain about my pack weight too much, but hauling it up this steep bluff feels next to heroic. And I've even got all the latest gossamer gear. In comparison, the patrol had lead weights in our packs. As for the trail, it bumps about the ferns and Douglas fir feeling next to primordial. Finally, after knocking off about 6 miles for the day, that feels like a lot more, the trail ejects me off Hoh Head and down to Mosquito Creek, which is my camp for the night. There used to be a shelter somewhere back here. It was built in 1962. I slept in it twice, once during a rainstorm. It wasn't that bad. Except for the mice scampering all over me during the night. Now perhaps for that reason, or just to preserve a little bit more of the wilderness here, it was torn down in 1975. I don't really miss it. It was a nasty place. One thing that hasn't changed is the water here. It's still the disgusting color of old tea. That is from tannins that have leached out of leaves in the water upstream. Probably rotting leaves. Not very appetizing. But not dangerous. Still, I'm filtering the water to clean out any microscopic bugs that might be there, especially an insidious one called Giardia. The tricky thing about Giardia is that I could drink this water and feel fine for weeks, and then suddenly get clobbered with diarrhea, cramps, and dehydration, not knowing what hit me. Hard to treat if you don't know what it is. I'm trying to imagine the storm that brought this sucker all the way up to the top of the beach. It must have been scary to see. But on this overcast morning, The hike is calm, even meditative. It's been more than 50 years since the Snow Turtle Patrol passed through here. We each had our own ambitions then. Bob loved electronics. Bill and Russ saw themselves in the military. I wanted to be a writer. It seemed to us our futures were as easily obtained as hiking the smooth, stumble-free beach. And yet, either way, we had no idea where we were going other than to head north. Bob brought a map and he made a good show of studying it from time to time. When he said we were still going the right way, it seemed redundant. Yes, another rope-assisted climb. It's a short hand-over-hand to the trail, which at first seems far less grueling than my overland trip yesterday. But hey, it's still a jungle after all, and obstacles are just normal. I come out of the tangled forest to Goodman Creek, which was far more challenging to cross during the spring hike with my friends.
Yeah. Those boots are supposed to hold out the water, not bring it in. Yuck.
Did I mention I have a heavy pack? I'm not sure if the rope helped here or not. Next up is Fall Creek, named for obvious reasons. It's another stream that can get pretty violent in the winter and spring. Today, I managed to keep my fresh socks dry. Pretty soon, there's a view of my camp for the night, Toliak Point, and the broad beach I have left to hike. As isolated as this place feels, the nearest road is miles away. I'm reminded that the rest of the world still exists. Did this float all the way across the Pacific from Asia? I don't know.
It's good to be home. I chose this spot because, first of all, of course, it's on the beach, and I got this great view. I get to sleep on sand, which is far more comfortable than the dirt up above. I also took into account the fact that I'm above the high tide line, presumably. Now, because I'm surrounded by all this driftwood, it means that if there was a storm, I could get crushed here. Forecast doesn't call for any storms, so I think I'm going to be safe tonight. goes. Oh, still isn't any lighter. Must be all those memories I'm carrying.
Well, fog is better than a summer storm. And if I really want to rationalize, it makes for moody video.
Now, since we can't see out there to the rocks in the ocean, which are known as sea stacks, I'm standing in front of this, I don't know, sea stack in training. It's known as an erosional remnant. And out there used to be the coastline.
After the sensory deadening experience of hiking through the fog, I come to Scott Creek, where the driftwood piles make crossing it inconsequential.
Scott Creek was named for a homesteader who lived near here. As a matter of fact, there was a small community of settlers about the area in the late 1800s. My guess is living here got a bit rough given the climate, and they all left.
Just north of the creek, there's a trail marker, in this case, a buoy. The trail is a simple up and over, lasting just a few minutes before depositing me back on the beach. And then I start approaching Taylor Point, which is impassable and requires another overland trail. By the way, grunting is always acceptable when hiking. However, I'm not sure I did it when I was 18.
So now that I'm here at Third Beach, I have a decision to make. It's only roughly 2 miles back to my car, and it's early in the afternoon. What do I do? Do I just lay here in the sun for hours upon hours doing nothing? That sounds good. Or do I try to get a hotel room in Forks? Maybe even the Twilight themed room, who knows? Kind of feel like I want a shower, kind of feel like I want a real meal, kind of feel like I want a real bed, kind of feel like I want to talk to my wife. That should have gone as the first thing on that list.
Still can't make up my mind, so I wander down the beach, find a driftwood couch, and relax. Something about backpacking along the ocean that slows everything down. I internalize the movement of the waves, where they almost synchronize with my heartbeats. I'm certain this is good for me in ways I'll never be able to explain. That hike with the Snow Turtle Patrol was our rite of passage. A way to feel more confident about independence and the future. Certainly, it encouraged me to continue with the outdoors, The thousands of miles under my boots, the peaks, the canyons, the adventures, and more than a few near-death experiences later, here I am. Maybe I should be thinking about my mortality, but I'm not. Instead, I remember how silly I could be. Somehow, that got lost.
So in the end, I decided to stay. The bed, the shower, the food, it can all wait. I do miss my wife, and I can't wait to talk with her tomorrow morning when I get out. I thought I'd be a lot more sentimental about this trip, given all the good memories I have about it. And then I realized that some of that sentimentality would have come from feelings of lost youth, maybe. And I don't have those feelings. This has just been a good experience all around this time. And I'm going to have so many more experiences like this. There's so many places to go. In fact, I really don't feel like I need to visit this coastline anymore because there's new places for me to explore. I think it's time to just say goodbye to this place and go on from here. I'm happy. I'm content. I can't wait for the next adventure.
The next morning, it's mystically overcast as if the rest of the world has disappeared. Then, reality.
Jeez, that's wet.
Good thing I'm not feeling sentimental because the ocean won't allow it.